hoàn toàn giải thoát khỏi những ràng buộc của chân và huyền, siêu vượt danh tự của các tướng, các của sinh diệt và trụ, siêu vượt đến và đi, lấy và bỏ. Mạn Đà La tối thượng chính là cảnh giới tâm nguyên sơ. Chúng con xin dâng lên cúng tất cả, và qua đó nguyện chúng con được gia hộ để đạt đến cảnh giới Phật. Completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and attributes of arising, cessation and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial, the supreme mandala is the natural state. By offering it, may we be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Om Guru Deva Dakini Vatna Mandala Pratisha Soha.
Sanjin Judam Sojin Chonam Lai Chanchun Paldu Dane Jebsun Jin Dage Jinsu Jibe Chonam Jola Penjire Sanjin Drubar Shoy Sanjin Judam Sojin Chonam Lai Chanchun Paldu Dane Jebsun Dage Jinsu Jimbe Chonam Jin Rola Penjire Sanjin Drubar Shoy.
Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings.
Mahanamga Danyambe Samjen Tamjen Deva Tan Devin Judan Dembra Jurun Je Donga Dan Donga Jin Judan Trevor Jurus Donga Mebe Deva Daman Treva Jurun Je Niren Chadan Nidan Treve Danyamla Nebra Jurun Je Mahanamga Danyambe Simchen Tamchen Deva Tan Devi Judan Dembra Jurun Je Donga Dan Donga Je Judan Trevor Donga Mebe Deva Daman
诸佛正法圣众会之之佛离我归于不是等功德为理由情愿成佛，愿一切众生具得极乐因，愿一切众生离苦及苦因，愿众生不离无苦之乐乐，愿永离安真常住平等舍。
Of happiness and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
《七支供养》，邻里以其供养忏悔语，随其功德敦请其注释。凡诸为许善业我具集，总为圆满菩提而回向。
I dedicate it all for the sake of complete enlightenment.
供曼达，香水涂饰，花朵铺满地，圣山四周日月为庄严。愿念佛刹以作供养故，愿诸众生受用清净土，景象三身圆满上师众。万念密三真如以供养，无生之财万物悉受以无上殊胜成就其赐予。Om Guru Devata Kini Rana Mandala Praktija Soha。
Om Guru Devata Kini Rana Mandala Praktija Soha。
请转法轮。
圣贤堂觉三巴堂，罗延切掌切德瓦，切中推蒙推拜，
一切众生之思会根器不同而见之共与不共大小乘，其境因情转法轮。
And the teachings come on to both according to the dispositions and mental capacity of the sentient beings.
Kanshi Gurve Jansan Jesuran Shankara Gavada Gaji Rinpoche Jeva Namrata Vejanjan Chinam Jechujun Jazu Shembe Yandrase Meshi Honam Jachewa Yunwa Lanjan Tripe Dripji Tema Mebe Lama Damba Namla Jan Zarjan Choda Josum Chevo Jinjan Labran Zendo Dojin Chamandelo Naroda Manmeta Orange Dank Gayasum de Savela Mesha, the Julama Yedam Juzonla, Surwanda Soda Jushinje, Lo, and Jentinga, Tumbazo Sanje, Kandrumang, Bardena Malaysia, Tujiran, Gentravelam Dam, Yongzen Shine, Namla Gujan, the Hada, Lamemam, J, Wambotan, Dirjino, Jujola, Shava, Shevanam, Sanju Sona, of the Shijan, David Juju, Tetan Chijidan, Bechunin, Bariandrishi, Namgada Nyambe Sinje Tamjeje Tundu, Toje Lana Mebra, Yantabro Dobe, Sanjiji, Kumbantamba, Jinejan Tobracha, Nte Chedu, Tatambe Chu, Samolan Juburjivo, Nyambe Samba Chanchum Chodu, Labor Sardan de Sember Shu, Tela Kang, Sember Chevi, Chu Tela, Nichidan go on the Chevaina, Sanjegi Gada, Tene, Bangun Papa, Ludula Soba. Then Jarageta, Pentata, and so soon Javegi, Tenjutan. The net and degi garden, Tenjugi, Nimbotamji, Jigu Duba, Mengagi Jung, Tatin de Sum Zanji, Yevaring on to some Chiala, to some Gumsum Chiala. The Indizan that Handa Garden, Tenjugi, Tamche, Choji, the Drevet, Mengagi Tenju. Out in the Tatambeju Gumbachi, Jung, say a tissue receiver cup, out in the Chi in Bare.
为了能够利益一切有情，我们应该要有一次这种能够得正佛果，我们应该发心仔细聆听。那我们在这里在听闻这个。 也就是佛陀的法教，以及从各位这个学者、佛法学者的这个论述，比如包括这个龙树菩萨。那现在讲的是这个正法一意共齐，那包含了佛陀的一切法教的经法，以及所有一切这个大师上师们的这个论点，那就是共齐，也就是正法一意。
tene tandande ta gadan tenju menga senenda tene yang cho jing zo san dang yun de zang ne tene sanje ge chu senenda maran zo namba sanje ba ge chu senenda gong ji ge senenda kandar ndela ni sanje ge temba se ge wa ta sanje ge temba de la pa yewa che yun de zang ne tene Lungi temba jigdang, tobe temba, sanjigi temba de, number 2순 도 용기요래. Lungi temba, tobe temba.
那昨天这个总共7品已经讲完了5品了，今天是讲见修行品第6。那我先念一下这个偈颂：一切圣法有传承为深，轮回诸法唯心显现耳。因果乃为刹那心自形，本性不住观之则不动，无有性相功德不能生，了证之法唯由信与敬。具足最胜见地了悟者，不为3大所触证之最。闻思修之空性非正途，串习所悟见地是为修。 心离取舍持戒方为行，见修行三不异而合一。大手印戒处毒药殊胜法，大手印之功德一切尊，根本定中一切功德生，不修其因功德无由生。了悟空性因果及被虽具了证犹须方便道，明理行持一戒为殊妙，不具三法无异声缘者。
좀 입에 날란 된대지 송여 좀 숨배 날란 된대지 송여 삼바점지 되는 펜토요 말와 인도산에 빼난 건데 메인기 꼴라 아직 메인 디사나 펜돈 된대지 요래와 메인 디사나 양딜 팽기로 와서야로 메인기 펜데 셴바지부기 가서 나서 타도 말와 된대 인도산에 다 가당 땡주 맹아 된소난도인데 되는 나랑 속이 gombe tono sunzengu yore gomchegu yore tendo gomba yina telatene tobe temba zimba asna sumbarwa o tin zane longto ge temba nyebu nzensul tendeji yinge yusare
So here when we talk about the teachings of the Buddha, and there comes into two categories. One is the teachings, the transmission of the Buddha's teaching, and one is the realization of the teachings. So here the transmission is the word, the teachings of the Buddha, which is there in the form of commentaries, and whereas the realization is the kind of the inner essence of the practice of the teaching. So usually we have like Buddha's teaching, and also there's a commentary for it. And one who really practiced the commentaries or the essence of the teachings, that is known as the realizations. For example, usually when we talk about the teachings of like uphold the teachings of Buddha, doesn't mean that we are benefiting the Buddha's teaching, but rather it benefits us. It's benefit us, the followers. It benefits the followers, not the teaching. When you hold the teachings, then it only benefits ourselves from teachings. For example, like when you try to listen to the teaching, and also when you contemplate on it. So this is known as the kind of the transmission, the teachings, or the transmission of the teachings. Whereas when you come to the practice and the realization of the teachings, then this is known as like kind of the realization of the teachings. So usually when we talk about the teachings, like the realization here doesn't mean that just understanding the teaching, but rather to like put into the practice, and also to realize in its own ultimate reality. For example, when you talk about the Gongti, it is not just enough to understand what kind of vital points. There are many vital points. Then in each vital points, by knowing that for each vital point there are this kind of contents and this kind of understanding and this kind of teaching. It's just understanding, and it's not enough. We have to practice and rather try to understand, practice that. Like for example, if that is a medicine, so like we have to eat that medicine and really need to benefit oneself. Otherwise, even if you know this is medicine, then it doesn't work. We have to eat it. So therefore, we have to practice it, we have to meditate it, and we have to contemplate on it, and ultimately we have to realize and actualize the teachings. So this is known as the realization. So there are two categories, that is the transmission and the realization. Mashallah.
那么佛陀的法教一般而言可以分成2类，一个就是佛陀的言教，然后第二个就是佛陀证悟的这个境界。那么这个如果说我们只是听闻这个法教呢，这个是不够的，必须要再加上修行。那听闻法教、思维法教、修行法教，并不是说我们来支持法教。所谓的支持法教呢，并不是说利益这个佛法，而是就近而言是利益自己的。我们在听闻佛法、思维佛法呢，也就是说，听了佛法之后能够得到这个法教呢，这更重要的是说我们要去把它实践，要能够了悟这些法教的这个真正的道理。那不只是说知识上的理解了解，知道说有这个有写什么，而是要加上我们自己真正的行持修行这个经验，然后我们能够进一步了悟究竟的这个真谛。以正法一意供起来讲呢，我们必须知道不只是这个150个金刚句颂，并且而是要把它带到日常生活中来修持。举一个例子来讲，如果今天我们不舒服了，那有一个药，那我们不是说只知道说这个药可以治这个病，这样就可以了。我们必须要亲自要吃药，才能知道这个药对我们的真正的利益。所以呢，我们听闻佛教之后要加以修持，加以禅修，加以省思，然后再来能够证悟。这就是闻思修的过程当中这3个部分都要有的，这才是这个听闻佛法的一个方法。所以佛法呢，主要包含了2大类。第一个就是这个教言的部分的传承，这个口传或者是传授。第二个呢，就是证悟这个法的内容的这个修行，透过修行的证悟。
lama juba yang tawa ji goya de peke chimbures tende indu sane tambe chu juban jaba sao se ya te song bare
So here, when you talk about the practice of the Dharma, the Parama Dharma, or the perfect Dharma teachings, so it comes into the 3 categories. That is, first listening, contemplating, and the meditation. So, and these teachings are categorized into these 3 things, and all these teachings comes like in the continuation from the perfect master, from master to master, and they are teachings like the transmission and also the realization, the teachings. Then here, when you talk about these teachings, it's when you talk about the transmission, then it comes from one master to another through the listening, through the ear to ear. We have been saying that through the continuation from ear to ear. Or if we talk about realization, then it talks about the continuation from heart to heart, from a perfect master to another perfect master, through the heart to heart, continuations. So like if there's no continuation like this, then it is regarded as it's not a perfect teaching it's coming from. So therefore it is stated that we need to have a very perfect continuation of the masters or the gurus, which can continue the teachings through the transmission as well as through the realization.
那我们在修持佛法的话， 我们讲说圆满这个佛法呢，要包含了闻思修这3个部分。一切佛陀的这个法教都是以心这个心绪联系的，从圆满的佛陀到这个大师们，一位一位大师一个这样传下来，包括2个部分，一个是口传的部分，第2个是证悟的部分。以口传口，以耳传耳，以证悟的方面呢，是以心传心的。那这样子要一直这样连续下来，包括这2个部分，我们不能不去说它是一个圆满的这个上师心绪的这个相连。所以这个佛法的这个传承，这个所谓圆满的话，要包含口传的部分以及证悟这2个部分。
나사야 차고지긴 나든도 대인도 다치는 봐 테네지 시사마주나 시잖아 야그레스 근데야 산지를 쉬도와 대쉬도 전에 산지게 가르송요에서는 단단한 티투스 바위어 말에스 간이서는 네 테네 다지 가르와 참이 숨나 소바라 초사 리바장 람라 때네 다른 제운도 주르와 텐데기 람단 제우 텐소 차상지 옌라파 제시 잠네 뜬 통경기 플로만 푸숨 소바지 마중게 파도 만냥인다고 말해스 어떤 송도와 디인도 자네다 디 가르땡게르스나 추일라 주바 구유바 티 땡게르 계시pana 추일라 주바 사야지 구 메와이나 근데 산제긴 플로마 텐소 나랑게지 추시에네 주민네 선진 멤버 제통gen지 마차가 봐도 난양에는 다그면서 송고야 개요마와 어디인데 콜소마라랑 소소랑구랑던도 제소는 리로와 이나 텐데 마임버 산지 콩게드네 두줄로 유배 어다 빵와당 또배기드네 윤데 텐소드네 지금 두제신라 봐 뜸을 겐지 로마지 마차가 봐도 냥에는 다그면 소야다 텐도기 추 가래이네 주바 넘버 타바지 주바 마체바지 고위여바다 텐소토네야 드네 세고 차용하더니 지레
So here the reason why we need to have like kind of perfect continuation of teaching is that what happened is when Buddha was about to enlighten and like when he was there in the retreat for 6 years and his body became too weak and also at the same time he was nearly about to die. So that time his body is too weak as well as because of not having the good food. And that time, whereas some of the disciples offer him the food in order to regain his strength and so forth. That time, some of the demonic forces came about and asked the Buddha, it's better you can die because your body is so weak and now you couldn't do much. So better you can die. That time, what the Buddha said was, right now, I have done nothing for the sentient beings. I still have to give teachings and the continuation of the teachings to all my sentient beings to ripen up the followers. And unless and until I have not able to ripen them, I'm not able to ripen them, then I'm not going to die. So I will only die after I have done my job. So from this also we can come to know that the continuation of teachings and all this is important and it's required. That's all. Mm-hmm.
那在这边讲到，之所以要有圆满佛陀这个法教的佛法教的传承的重要性，是在佛陀当时在世的时候，他有好几年的苦修，那修行的6年，闭关的6年呢，他的身体呢非常的羸弱，因为没有什么东西，没有吃什么东西。后来弟子就供食物给他，那么帮助他恢复体力。这个时候魔知道了这件事情，就到这个世尊面前说， 告诉他，你身体这么弱，不如去死吧。那佛陀当时的回答是说，我目前还没有这个究竟的证悟，我没有什么可以供养众生的，我必须要继续修持，才能够传承这个法教。那目前的我是没有办法使这些弟子他们心性能够成熟的，所以我目前还不能死。等到我那个证悟的有办法让他们能够心绪成熟，我才可以死。所以他就这个从这个故事我们知道说，法教的这个连续的这个传承，这个是非常重要的。
디나신도 로마 텐조게양 라니 로마 임베 값수 라마라더니 니바 숨지고네 베 라메기 툭 지버체네 디나네야 타벌도더니 랍 주베긴 최바텐데 푸네 디고네 라메 툭 니버체네 라메 툭주기 또바티 랑기 줄에 째투자라더니 베존나용도와 다텐조 먼저 가주기 라메 남터던서나 요로와 베나더니 제준 텔로파기 로마 따지다 망부 요르데 조 벤첸 나로 바로와 근데 벤첸 나로 배양 가와 빠드메가 제네 제슨 텔로바테 텔로게 양 대신도 되네 제수 종네 오다 랑게 투주게 되네 방도게 연데 용수 조바데 벤첸 나로 배게 투주랑 표트바지 낭도와 표트바지 낭처베기 제라더니 다소 건 낭메다네 야마자네 제삽랑 나왕구도와 오다 디레네 종데 다 주랑에 제삽인스 마옹바기 소마텐 속에 다 주데 주랑게 멤버 제고레스 근데 하버도양 아더네 마르발로자세야지 벽이 되네 라마지다 주랑 라투레스 디지스 종고레스네 롱텐낭 나솔나 증도낭도 딘도 디줌생 가르차요르스나 추데 주바 개침부지 임비 줌생라 때네 근데 거지 주바 테사대야 오늘 소만 느덴지라 자섭도 원구로 용도와 텐데 인도자네 텐소기 줌센더오데 가서나 담배기 추디 주바 개침부 임비 줌생라 투용고요래
So here, for example, the reason why it stated this, even if you look in the Kajipas, the tradition of the Kajipa masters and their life story, if you look at their life story, like how the teachings and how the teachings comes from one master to another. For example, the Tilopa. Tilopa is actually, he was enlightened from the beginningless time, and also in order to lead the disciples, he has to undergo for the teachings, and in order to show that the special lineage or the special link or the continuity of the teaching, he has to come in the form of human beings, and also he has to follow the teacher, and also while after becoming enlightened, he also offer his teachings, and also while being like, for example, one should have to please one's own master, and at the same time, one try to get teaching and the knowledge or the wisdom that the master has had embedded in our heart. So this is how we try to get try to impart the teachings from the master. And that's why we try to please the master and so on. And also his disciple Naropa also later on try to please his master and try to get all the teachings from his master. And later on, his master appointed him as a kind of representative of the master, because after like kind of imparting all the teachings through the transmissions or the realization he transmitted to the Naropa, then he appointed Naropa as the like kind of the representative of him as a, the teacher or master for the teaching, the holder of the teachings and so forth. And also he prophesied in the near future, they would be coming like a person like Mapa from Tibet and, so on and so forth all this time. So what it means is that, so our teaching, has to have the continuity. It has to be, this is known as how the profound continuity. This is how we have the teaching, which has been continuations from one a special master or great master to another master, and goes on from one to another through the years or through the realization. That's all.
我们所以这样讲的这个原因呢，就是这个法教的传承是非常重要的。在各个我们可以看噶举上师的这个本身故事。当我们知道第六巴祖师是自无始以来就已经证悟了，那为了把他所证悟的传给弟子呢，他要历经还是要把这个法教传下去。为了传承这个他的法教，第六巴尊者必须化身受身为人，然后之后呢成为人师，再给予他的弟子法教。那么让弟子能够承事恭敬上师，祈求法教，让这个上师的法教能够了然于心这样传承下去。那洛巴祖师呢，也就是承事的他的上师第六巴，然后从他第六巴尊者那边学习。之后呢，第六巴尊者给予他一切的法教，包括口诀的传授，以及这个经验的证悟的这个传承。后来就指派那洛巴祖师为第六巴尊者的弟子，并受记未来有马尔巴、米日巴等等祖师会一一的出现，这样子的法教就能够一一的相连下去，包括了口诀这个口耳传承以及证悟的这个传承这两个部分。
왕토바짱 마임버 투주기 또바데 랑기줄로 퓨토바직 낭네 오다 갈레테가서 지점나오라 어티인디자네 아드네 마르페 꿀레 좀 나신네 제준 나로베게 투제와 친구 제수종네 드네 팅 순베게 갑라 드네 나로바게다 제준 마르발라다 저랑 데랭는 드네 제차도 원그라인스네 제차로 나솔난다와 아가스나 고지 방도기 연대 용수조바디 투기는 표현도 전에 고자서 찬루거와 대지도 전에 된대게 또바 던주기 자살랑 나술 대자마제 오다 추랑기 야 로마테네 땀 지단 마르발로 로마 망보레 디나네야 네 드베 잔디 테네 멜라레바 따제순 쟁구레 세네 테네 벤첸 나로베게 제전 마르발라 롱덴데 나한다와 롱덴 나와 지송 제네 근데 제전 마르베게야 근데 제전 밀라 지수존에 오다 근데시네 간데 지 라마라나 소소기 데네 소소기 또바티 문엔 진투 타추기 로마지 차르 용두자네 데네 텔라 왕 롱티 맹아 용수조바 낭 투줄로 또바 제주 세베지라들 자살롱가 소나인 거여와 티인디자네 아테 탐체데 존돌드와이나 테네 추기 주바데 개침부인바 주바대양 시기 주바 짬마인바 등기 주바대양 등 고와점지 주바마인바 등 또베기 주바 뭐다 텐데지 요거야데 테네 베 개침으로 진행 사례 라버던 거랑 좀 가주반다지나 전주바서기다와 대응기들의 주바팅이 송게 측이 주바 많이 송게 지난 거 주로 참아도 대응기 주바 레데 체브르도야 나랑 좋다네 지다 르주 세나인다 가주바 생규산에 뭐네 주바 냠랭게 토네 드니 또베기 댄산진 tum게 또베기 드니 주바 파르마 티인두산에 드니 지된 송거게 드나 백개 첨부 지나네 따금 주베기 총경고 대마타도 따와이나엔다 곰바이나엔다 쥐바이나엔다 야나 롱기 추이나엔다 또배기 주인한테 탐제대 주반 넘버 다 가지고 그래서는 개체 뭐지나 어떤 대신에 손난 거 요사래.
So like this is how the continuity of transmission is important, stated there. For example, even the Tilopa, when they give the teachings to the Naropa, and he has prophesied that in the near future, this kind of person will come. So he prophesied when the disciples become so ripened, so perfect of his teaching, then he could transmit or impart all the teachings to the disciples. Also, when you talk about Mapa, Mapa came to India for 3 times to receive the teachings, and those days it might not be that restriction as we have now. We are not sure whether they have this kind of restrictions as we do now, but definitely there is a danger of the wild animal, the fishes, things, and everyone. There's many difficulties there. Somehow, Mapa came 3 times to India to receive the teachings. It's all because of that. And also now he came to India, and he has 2 most important teachers, that is Naropa and Maitripa. Among these 2, the Naropa is one of the most prominent master. And he studied with the Naropa for almost 12 years, and he impart the transmission, so the realization of the teachers, realization of the masters, and he has the fully in all of the teachings of its heart, in the fullest of the fullest teachings from the heart. Then he became the perfect of all the teachings, and later on also he has given a kind of prophecy that in the near future you will have this kind of students like Milarepa, and so though Marpa has many students, but Milarepa is one of the most prominent disciples who could able to digest all the teachings, the transmissions, and also the empowerments, and also the kind of instructions or transmissions or the realization of the inner teachings of whatever the teaching had with his masters. He could able to impart all the teachings or able to digest all the teachings with him, and that was able to continue, not just by a word or just by a word, but also with the meaning or understanding or the inner realizations of that. So therefore, for example, our Kajipa the teachings or the lineage is known as the realization, the continuity of the inner realizations, or so forth. So actually, all the teachings of the teachings, different major teachings in Tibet are known as the inner teachings, but somehow it was more emphasized on the Kajipa teachings as the inner teaching or the inner meaning, or the continuity, the holder of the continuity of the inner teachings or the inner practice, something like that. And therefore, so later on, he was appointed as the one who can uphold this seed, or the act as a representative of their masters. In the same way, the Lord Jigten Sumgyen also stated that he was also appointed in the same way as the seed holder. And also he stated, this is why from the very beginning, Lord Jigten Sumgyen stated that we have to have a proper continuation, proper lineage, or proper link of the teachings. That is the teaching of the, whether it is a view, meditation, or conduct, whatever it is, we need a proper kind of lineage is required. That's all.
这个第一季一切圣法有传承为深，那这个就是讲到传承的这个重要性。就噶举派来讲呢，从这个第六巴尊者到那罗巴祖师，那接受这个他这个第六巴祖师并受记未来的这个传承，那么有这个教派就有很多弟子能够成熟，能够承接这些法教。后来这个马尔巴医师到了印度3次，已能够承接这个法教。然后过去在不同的地方旅行没有像现在的很多的限制，但是在路途上也是有很危险的，充满的野兽的等等的这个情况。但是那个马尔巴为了学习佛法，还是到了印度3次。那他主要从这个2个老师那罗巴跟麦追巴这边学习，他跟着那罗巴尊者这个12年，那么到后来他得到的口传以及上师的证悟的境界，一切都了然于心，圆满一切上师法教。那这个所以他的上师也给予他受记，他未来还会有像弥勒日巴这样子的弟子能够承接这个传承。那马尔巴大医师有许多的这个弟子，包括了弥勒日巴祖师等等。那弥勒日巴祖师传承的他在灌顶、口诀传授，这个证悟的心髓等等的。这个传承，那所以这些呢，法教的传承不只是口语上这个的传承，而是主要能够理解到它内在的意义。所谓的噶举派呢，很重要的就是内在的证悟的这种连续。当然，不同的这个教派的传承都是内在的一种传承，内在心欲的连续，只是噶举派特别重视这个。所以当他被指派成为上师传承的这个法教，坐在这个法座上呢，那就会传承了上师的法座。后来这个吉田松光祖师也被这个指认出传承的这个上师法教的这个法座。那最主要就是能够得到见修行3个部分的相续。第2季轮回诸法唯心显现尔。
And actually, it is stated that in the first verses, any sacred Dharma teachings that are connected to the lineage are profound. Of course, on top of that, which is the lineage is important. Why the Kajupa traditions or the lineage of the Kajupa lineage has talked about the importance of the meaning and the word itself, and also particularly pay too much focus on the meaning. So reason why the Kajupa focus on this is that actually all other 4 traditions, major tradition, talks about the same thing, for about the viewpoint, view of the all the views are emptiness and so on and so forth. But whereas here, the Kajupa actually all the like nirvana and samsara are actually our own mind. It's dependent on our own mind. But somehow we don't talk to from the very beginning, rather than talking of the emptiness. The Kajupa master straight go to introduce the mind. So mind is the like kind of essence of all the like kind of nirvana and samsara. So Kajupa master go on talking about the mind, which is the basis of all nirvana and samsara. Actually, the Kajupa master, they're talking from the very beginning. Actually, it was taught by the Buddha himself. And Buddha has taught this one in the Lanka Avatara Sutra, so that the mind is the like source of all the nirvana and samsara. And also the Maitriya talks about this in the Sutra Alankara. So about how the mind is important. and how on the basis of the mind, all these like kind of nirvana and samsara comes into existence. Therefore, it is stated that all phenomena of samsara and even the only appearance of one's own.
那第二季轮回诸法唯心显现耳。那在之前已经建立了传承是重要的，那源于这个的意义，但是卡阿曲派呢特别重视。一般我们讲到见地的时候呢，知道说这个是空性等等。那卡阿曲派的上师呢会提到，就是轮回涅槃都是心的显现罢了。那一开始他不是只讲这个空性的见地，而是直接指出空心性本身就是轮回涅槃都是我们心性的这个展现。不只是噶举派有这样讲，在过去的这个佛陀时代的那个兰卡拉 Tantra 密续经也有提到这一点，然后甚至后来的 Maitripa 他在 Sutraputta 这边也提到心性的这个重要，也指出这个轮回诸法唯心显现耳，一切轮回也好涅槃也好都是心性的这个展现。那第二季轮回诸法唯心显现耳，第三季因果乃为刹那心自形，这也是噶千仁波切经常引用的两个偈颂。
인나야 동의가 돈에 부제야 요 말이라 부셰야 요 말와 어 띠인도 단단한 거랑 속에 나와상이 용 수조바데 텐데게 tunang 거 돈들은 나 대바 되지 제스나 송교래
So here when we talk about the appearances of one's own mind, like whatever the appearances of our mind, for example, it's good or bad, pleasure, the feelings of pleasure and suffering, pain, whatever. These are all actually the imprints of our mind. Because of the imprint and different kind of appearances coming to us. And because of that, we are in suffering. For example, actually there is nothing independently existing from our own mind. These are all actually the manifestations of our mind. So therefore, for example, if you look about the 37 practices of Bodhisattva practices, it is stated that different kind of the suffering comes about. And it's like a kind of the dream, your son, passing away of your son, the death of your son in the dream. What happens in the dream, in one way, when you see in your dream, you like if you see you giving birth to the boy, you are so happy. But at the same time, in the second instance, when you see that your son has been passed away, then it's very difficult to bear that. But whereas if you look into this, like into this situation, for example, it's just a dream and nothing has happened there actually. It's not born there and it's not died. It's just a dream or just the, but somehow we have a feeling that same exactly as we have been born the son and at the same time the son is dead. It's in the same way, this is how the appearances of our mind, and it is what it means is that there's no other than the appearances of the mind. So it is just the imprint or the manifestations of our mind. That's all.
那在这边讲到唯心显现的一切，不管是好的、不好的、苦的、乐的、痛的，都来自于我们自心的这个印记而有不同的显现。一切的显现它是没有自性的，都是来自于自心。在佛子行37颂里面第24颂吧，诸苦如梦中丧子，妄之实有，即劳累，是故会于为缘时，是为幻象佛子行。我们在这一辈子当中，有这个举个例子，自己孩子的例子来讲，他们生了我们就很快乐，他们死了我们是非常的痛苦，但是它的本质是一切如梦，本来就无生无灭的。要了解到我们自己我们的人生当中也有同样的经历，不管的生死等等，但是事实不过是内心印记的这个投射的一些显现罢了。
야나 생데 베지 린탕 야부 토베게 말람 다 텐데 전에 간다지 생기 꼴라더니 말람 잡는 마 보지 땅인 거야 변나 다티 좀센데 가서는 그 님의 공을 추수 가시지라 뒤돌아 검리지 차선도 전에 드린 생기 말람한테 땅인 거야 디나신도 전에 베티나신 전에 나랑 쪽에 단대기 되네지 나와자니 나와대도 인자면은 나야 딜라 나서 때네 검시대 가세지 태비로서는 코르와 토마 메바는 검시 태우송으로와 코르와 토마 메바네 셈 군신 남시 땡도 되니 박차 상인 담을 만포지 야송도 전에 디 박차디 민기라 되니 지르고 유르게 나온 담을 만포지 샤령고로와 어티인도 전에 텐데게 돈선은 동안이나야 어다 코르와 단냐데게 추에 담체데 어드네 다단데다 삼백의 장수 선나인다 나와랑셈 세오다 텐데지니 차용고요래 송고있어래
And also, for example, in the daytime, during the daytime, the day work, for example, if we are cutting the tree or the wood or whatever, like the wood is good or bad, and whether this wood is valuable or not valuable, and so forth, for almost like 5 hours, if we have been thinking about it and doing the works about it, then because of that, in the dreams, it comes like the wood, you can see the dream of cutting the wood and so forth, and also the value of the wood and how much it costs and whether it is valuable or not. The reason why is because in the daytime we have been thinking about this cutting the trees, and we are thinking about the value of the tree or the wood because of that. And in the same way, like for example on the base mind, because on the old base mind we have an imprint. We have been putting this imprint for a beginningless time. We're having a different kind of impression on our mind. So like for example, whether it is a samsara or whether it's a nirvana, whatever the appearances it may cause, these are all because of our mind. Because it's the appearances or the manifestations of our mind, because of putting all the kind of imprints in our mind stream, or the like all base mind. We used to say the Kyunji Namshi, which means all base mind, or the continuity of the mind. So because of that, we have a different kind of manifestation of our mind. So these are all because of the mind, and it's known as the form of mind, the manifestation of mind. That's all.
那么举个这个平常生活上的例子来讲好了，白天如果说我们想要去这个砍伐这个木头，我们会去思维说它是好啊不好啊，它的如果卖掉的话，它价格是贵还是便宜啊，就这样子反复的思维思索，要如何做 想了好几个钟头，假设说5个钟头好了，那等这个晚上睡觉的时候就梦到自己在那边砍木头，也视为同样的这个事情，这就是我们所谓的日有所思夜有所梦。但是根本上呢，在我们的心性是一切的这个根基的，它心性从无始以来，因为我们自己的造作种下了一些印记，好的不好的这些印记的这个种子，那后来就变成所谓心性这个的显现的这个来源。那我们知道心性的显现就是我们现在所看到的一切的现象界，所以这个我们这藏人的讲法，我们是说心性是具足的这个所谓的现象或者是轮回法呢，都是这个自信我们心的显现罢了。
디나신도 계시변은 조금 첨부 용케 추여 탐제 되는지 나와 ran스미 바 하고 된게 된되게 nen줄과 찍라 좀 가세지 당셔봐 있나야 디나신도 다지 칭이 가세지 화셔봐 있나야 코랑기 지 나외 고 섬나 샤와 있나야 람상변은 출을 못해봐 나신체네 바 yar투를 송용도 띵도 전에 대기 콩나 강에 때 두면도 나랑선도 지나 그 책도 고와 잠지 근데 삼나 샤와 잠지고 강해진 태용도 띵도 전에 된되게 강에 용도 모용데 근데 섬게출 땅진치 당지를 알아야 용구로 오다 텐솔로 때네 근데 단데 나와랑 섬세요 오다 텐데 통하는 대신한 게 유사래
So in the same way, like if we think about our life, in our day-to-day life, so there are different kind of situation there. Sometimes very problematic situation which is related to the mind, and also because of the mind, we could also solve that problem through the through the mind, relating to we can able to solve it through the mind. For example, like if I think about somebody else, about their mistakes or their faults, and if I hear about somebody talking about me or saying something bad or whatever, so when I hear that, instantly I'm in trouble, and my mind gets disturbed. So, if I don't know this kind of situation, and if I didn't hear that, there's no problem in my mind. It's because of my mind. So therefore, for example, if you look at the yogis who are able to understand, who have realized the nature of all phenomena as a mind. So it doesn't matter how backbite we did to these people, or whatever the bad things we have talked about him or whatever. So it doesn't matter for him, because he knows that this person can take it as a kind of it's the nature of mind. It's just the manifestation of mind. And just like a drawing a picture in the water, in an instant, it can vanish. So there's no problem for this kind of person. So therefore, this is taken as it's all because of the mind manifestation. It's not actually the existing from its own side. It's because of our mind creation, or the mind imprints, or the mind imprints.
那同样的，如果我们想到我们日常生活的话，这些经验呢，都是由心而来的，一切问题也由心来够解决。如果我们想到别人的过患，听到别人说我们不好的事情，那我们如果说去相信他，去跟在这些话的后面的话，那我们的心就会是纷扰的。那如果说 我们了解这个情况的话，一切都是心的显现的话，不会去抓这个画尾巴，那我们的心就能够避免这个，能够把握我们自己的心，就不会去被这些纷扰的事情所干扰了。那一些有成的瑜伽行者，一切修行人呢，可以了解到这个一切的现象都是心的显现，心性的展现，所以一切好也好，不好也好，都因为这一切如同在水中作画一样，马上就消失无影无踪，因为他们并不是实存，只是我们心性的这个展现罢了。
So whatever it is, if one is able to realize that all the appearances are actually the appearances of a mind, it's the manifestations of mind, then it is stated that one would have a great like kind of peace within oneself, and there is a like kind of quality, the benefits and quality, the 6 different kind of qualities benefit. And like, for example, if one is able to understand, this is all because of a mind manifestation or the appearances of a mind. And if one have a conviction or only one have a confidence for that, then it is said that whatever the people say to them, or whether it is, when the people harm you, doesn't matter. Even if it's your enemy or whatever, they would not come a kind of hatred to this kind of person. And even if there's like person who you love or who you like it, then they wouldn't be having a such condition or like kind of chance to arise the attachment for this kind of person. So because the reason why is that because we have understood the nature of mind, and this all because of the like manifestations of a mind or the appearances of a mind, then there's nothing we can attach to, or there's nothing we can hatred for that because of understanding that. That's all.
那无论外在的状况是如何的显现，我们都知道这些一切都是心自性的这个显现。如果了解到这一点的话，我们自心的内心自然能够保持平静，而能够有6种功德。那如果说我们能够真的了解这些是心性的显现的话，那无论别人如何来说我们都可以内心不会有对这个人的怨怼之心，更不会对他们有任何的执着，因为我们已经了解我们自己的心性，这一切都是心性的展现。既然是心的这个展现，也就是没有什么可以执着的，因为他们也没有自性。
다단 ཉེ 짐바톨 다단 ཉེ 짐바톨에 돈에 텐데 마드르베게 심첸라 맹네더니 닝제제야 장바제야 오 텐데기 로데 정신이 용그레스 띵드잔네 텐 평연 이바데 텐데지 요송바레.
So now the second benefit of understanding that all appearances are just the nature of our mind appearances. That, for example, we have a like kind of one enemy, or also we have a like kind of one's own favorite, like favor, that is one's own relative, and so forth. So when one is understood that these are all appearances, or it's the manifestation of our mind, then what happens is we would be able to stop this strong sense of grasping to one's own relative and strong sense of hatred towards the enemy. And from that onwards, because since one is able to strike able to reduce or able to eliminate this kind of strong sense or kind of the gross level of hatred and gross level of attachment to one's own relatives, then you can take into account all other sentient beings are also in the same nature. So like then we have within ourselves, they arose a strong sense of loving kindness and compassion towards all sentient beings because of understanding the nature that these are all the manifestations of the mind. That's all.
那第二种利益呢，就是当我们遇到不管是说对我们不好的这个怨敌，或者是我们亲近的这个周遭的我们亲爱的人，这些外在的一切能够了解一切都是心的显现的话，那我们就可以知道如何来停止我们对这些怨敌也好，亲爱的人也好，内心强烈的贪执或者是怨怼之心，因为我们知道一切众生都有相同的这个本质，那么因为这样子理解之后，更能对一切众生升起这个慈悲心，那么因为我们都是有共同的心性的，这也是第二个利益。
nangi luen de yang la ge ran shi yin bo gong ya ka le kha wo chang ro ka sa na ma da ba la den zen shu che la no dan dan na wa ran sim yin ba tni yang ta ba ji xian song wa yin na ma da ba la de man ze be den zen lo de don ro ge re ti yin de zan ne tni chen no gin ji den ge kam de yang ya ye kan ge ran shi yin ba la ni shi lam san je le la wa na ju ge sim chen dam je yang la da la mo ran shi yin ba la ni shi du nyur du je ba ju wa wo tni ji yin du zan ne na wa ran sim yin ba xian song wa yin na 계속은 냠낸 텐소였더니 지금 레사오 지게 돈에 원로 투레스나 대송바래
And the third one is that like if you know about the all phenomena are just the manifestations of our mind. Then when we are doing on the path of the like Vajrayana practice, and especially in terms of the generation and the completion stage, it has great benefit for that. The reason why is that usually when we talk about the outer object, for example, the container and the contained within us. So usually we talk about the container of the Buddha field and the container like person inside who is contained, who the subjective point of mind and subjective, the people who are the sentient beings who are in the contained are all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Because what we do is when we have come to know that all things and events are just the manifestations of our mind, then what happened is that we could able to realize that outer object is also the manifestations and inner object is also the inner subjective mind or subjective sentient beings also